Chapter 25, documentary film. Let's get to Indiana Jones making the trilogy. This came out in 2003. It's directed by Laurent Bozereau. Sorry if I butchered that name. And the synopsis is George Lucas and Steven Spielberg tell the struggles and the passion for making the Indiana Jones trilogy. For anyone who listens to the show regularly knows I love Indiana Jones. I am obsessed with Indiana Jones. I did the Timeless Heroes documentary a few months ago. I did all 5 movies on our Bandcamp page. I love Indiana Jones so much. He's one of my favorite movie characters, movie heroes. I cannot get enough of him. And I was so excited to see that this documentary was put on YouTube. It is separated into 3 parts, one for each movie, but you can watch it there if you're interested. And this director has done a ton of making of behind the scenes documentary. So definitely look up that filmography. There's a lot to enjoy there. This movie really made me so happy. Not only does it make me love Indiana Jones even more, and Spielberg even more, George Lucas and Harrison Ford, but it is such a heartwarming, to be cheesy, sort of experience, because movies like this don't get made very often these days. This sort of story, this sort of cast and crew, and to come back a little bit to Spielberg, not only do I love watching Spielberg movies pretty much more than anything else, it's hard to find something more enjoyable as a movie lover than watching Spielberg talk and make his movies and talk about movies, not only his, but others as well. There is something so kind of childlike in him, and that comes through in his movies, and George Lucas to an extent, but more so Spielberg. He clearly loves making movies more than almost anyone else in the world, and watching him work with George Lucas, watching him work with Harrison Ford, it is so entertaining, again, heartwarming, inspiring, because you just see the talent and craft of these guys, and you don't even have to have a big interest in Indiana Jones. Like, you could just watch this as movie lover, curious about behind the scenes, really anything in that realm, and I'm sure you will love this film. And I wish that there were more like this, like really some of the only people making big, epic, behind the scenes documentaries right now is Ridley Scott. Even Spielberg doesn't really make that many anymore, and I'm so happy that this one exists. There are others for Indiana Jones, like I've already mentioned and also reviewed on this show, so please do check those out if you haven't already. I think for any Indiana Jones heads out there like me, something like Timeless Heroes is a good one for Harrison Ford, which I think is the intent. That one's more so an homage and paying respects to Harrison Ford. But this one is really the nitty-gritty of the actual movies themselves. Like, it's close to 2 hours, I think, at least. And there's a lot there. There's so much great behind the scenes footage, interviews, the unused takes, how Spielberg and George Lucas worked together and hashed out ideas, who took from who, what ideas were used, what weren't. Like, there's a lot to really digest there and enjoy. So I highly, highly recommend it, especially considering it's free on YouTube. Do check it out, especially if you like Indiana Jones, if you like any of those directors or actors involved. It is definitely one of the best making of documentaries I've seen in quite some time, and love Indiana Jones. I am so thankful to him and to Harrison Ford. I know Indiana Jones doesn't exist. I'm not crazy, but there's something about that character that, especially these last few years, has in some ways saved my life. I don't know what it is. There's such a comfort and thoughtfulness and sort of kindness in that character that always picks me up and inspires me, makes me feel better. And I know that's not the case with everyone. Obviously, he's a very popular character, but for me personally, he is in a lot of ways a lifesaver. I will always cherish Indiana Jones in those movies. I will always go back and rewatch the Timeless Heroes documentary. Like, I am incredibly thankful for him and that character and Harrison Ford, and for Spielberg and for George Lucas. I cannot say enough about this franchise, and I hope you do check it out if you haven't seen it yet. And if you have, definitely watch this movie. That is a heavy 5 out of 5